Hi, how are you? Hope you're well. So, I'm actually here to film a general intro, so this will be the intro for 3 separate videos. I'm doing a little bit of a series where I read my boyfriend's favorite books. He'll be joining me in these videos, so the formatting is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to have my normal intros and then my normal outro. So I just wanted to pop in here, tell you what's going on, ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe if you like me or any of my videos, and enjoy this little series. It's really fun and I hope you like him. Hi, how are you? Hope you're well. So, next book that we are reading in this video, and the final book that I'm reading in this video, is Dragon Teeth by Michael Crichton. And that book I will actually be reading physically, probably. My boyfriend really wanted me to. So yeah, unless I really struggle with it, then I'll switch to audio. I do have both available. But yeah, that is the next book. I will check in with him once I've finished. So. Hi.
Hello.
So I obviously finished Dragon Teeth this morning. Do you want to guess my star rating or should I just tell you?
9 out of 10. 4.5.
4.
Oh.
4.
Oh.
Why? What did you give it? If you were to give it, I know you don't rate your books.
I think I would give it a 4.5.
4.5? Okay. Do you want to give your thoughts first? And then I'll go based off of what you say, since you seem to want to do this in a very specific way, or...
Here are my initial thoughts.
Just remember it's spoiler free.
It's small, it fits in your hand nice, it's a page turner with decently sized text. It is a fun weekend book, which, by the way, we're talking about Dragon Teeth.
As you know, I tried to read it physically. I really did. I couldn't get past chapter... Well, they don't have numbers. I stopped reading at page 26 physically. It's a very slow start, and it doesn't get interesting until page 100. And by the time it got interesting, I don't know, I was kind of invested in the audiobook, which I genuinely think if you ever want to reread this, to give the audiobook a shot, because it kind of feels like Michael Crichton is reading this to you. Like, the narrator sounds like what I would imagine Michael Crichton to sound like, which is really cool.
Middle-aged white guy.
Yeah. And then also just in general, the voice acting was really well done, and especially considering there's a variety of accents and ways of speaking and stuff, they just did it very well. So it almost felt like I was listening to a movie that was being described to me, rather than just listening to someone read an audiobook. But yeah, I was shockingly surprised at how much I liked it, because I was very excited to go into it, but then I ended up not really liking it. At first I thought it was boring and I didn't understand the point, and that thing on page 26, well, I guess it's not a spoiler, but where he's essentially oh yeah, the main character dies in this book.
He might have felt differently had he known that by late summer she would be informed that her firstborn son was dead.
Yeah, that part, I was just confused going into the book. That being said, I was very happily surprised at the ending of the book. I don't know, this book was very good at having little cliffhangers at the end of every other chapter once it started to get interesting, which made it really hard to stop listening to, which is why once I picked up the audiobook fully, I just dove head first into it. Do you have any thoughts?
Yes. One of my favorite things about this book is when I think about it, I think about Marsh and Cope, and how, you know how a cartoon robber is jumps on his tippy toes with a sack over his shoulder? I imagine that, but in the Badlands.
With dinosaur bones?
With dinosaur bones in their sack, but also dressed like paleontologists in the middle of the night, stealing bones from each other. That's what I think about them. In this whole book, not a lot of the characters have an incredible amount of depth, but they all push the story along in their own ways, and so I think that makes up for it. But I especially love the fact that Professor Marsh and Professor Cope are...
That was surprising.
Yeah, Because I remember I was going to tell you about it after I got done reading it, because I just thought it was such a cool, like, note, but I wanted to save it for when you read it.
I almost, like, didn't read the author's note, so, like, finding out that little fun tidbit of the characters and the fact that crazy to me. I was like, what do you mean this is... I was gonna say, that was just like, I think that was probably one of my favorite parts, like finding out that just like little small, I guess it's not that small of a fact, but like if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't.
Yeah. I really enjoyed when he was in the town of Deadwood, because it really just reminded me of Red Dead Redemption 2.
You showing me the scenes in Red Dead Redemption really helped me envision the story a lot better. Because the Badlands I wasn't struggling with, because again, I know the Badlands aren't in Arizona, but I kind of just pictured Arizona, and then I've already started editing this video, and when
somewhat similar.
Yeah, when I googled it, it was close enough to the point where it like made sense. But the other parts, like listening to it, I was literally just seeing like the aesthetics of the game as I was reading it, and it was fun.
Yeah. What did you think about like at the end where they like or whatever?
Oh, with the traveler. I was confused a little bit, not gonna lie, I'm dumber than so I was struggling to pick up, because at first when she told him like, oh, I'm shocked you're still sitting here, and he ran off, I was like, oh, the guy wants him to run away? That doesn't make any sense. But then that's not what happens. He does the other thing and like preps everything, and then that whole scene happens where I don't know, but anyway, they do the thing, and the whole time like I was so confused up until it was explained to me with a teaspoon what happened. Also the whole story with him stuck in what's the town where Deadwood. Yeah, the whole story with him stuck in Deadwood and the Curry brothers like just wanting to shoot him and everything. Like I don't know, this book was not at all what I thought it would be, and like that messes still with my brain so much, because you go into this thinking, oh, they're gonna go dig up bones, and they do dig up bones, but also like so much more happens. But
bunch of silly antics.
But it kind of felt like it would be a really, really good like comedy movie, because it's just funny enough to be funny, but it's also serious enough to not be like wacky, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I would, if this got turned into a movie, I would like be the first person in line to go watch it.
Right behind me. What was I gonna say?
Well, while you think, I'm also very surprised, because I never thought I'd be like a cowboy Wild West fan, and now I'm like ready to pick up Done and Dusted and just like get like a ton of cowboy romances.
Put on the cowgirl hat.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm only really willing to do that if I'm going to a Taylor or Chapel concert, but I can't afford those reseller tickets, so.
Oh yeah, what I was gonna say. What's the main character's name? Johnson. I did find Johnson's character motivations a little weird. Like, in reality, I could see like a rich kid just kind of deciding, you know what, I am gonna be dedicated to a craft, I am gonna work hard. But I don't know, it just in the sense of the book, it's like, why did he want to try so hard? Like, I get with the whole photography thing, he was just trying to pay off his debts, but the whole like just really caring about the bones to the point where he was...
So like the main conflict of the book and why he cares so much about it.
Yeah, but I guess that's the point of fiction, is that so you can pick and choose which characters to follow.
Yeah.
With a story, not just what's most realistic.
Yeah.
You pick the oddities.
Yeah, I do have to say though, even for me, like there were a couple points where I was also confused of like, why do you care so much? Like, why don't you just do the easy thing? Why are you choosing to do the hard thing over and over and over and over, which leads to literally multiple people dying because he's choosing the difficult thing, which is like cool to know that it like kind of pays off in its own way. But like by the end of the story for the main character, I still didn't know. I was like, so you did this whole thing and for what? Your ending is still just what it is, you know?
Going back on Johnson's character motivations, now that I'm thinking of it, it is, I don't know, just kind of funny in the sense of a story that, you know what, maybe he didn't have any real intrinsic motivations. It was literally just, he did all of this for a fucking bet.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, thinking back on it, I actually really appreciate just how silly that aspect is. This whole book is kind of silly. Like, again, when I think of Marsh and Cope out in the Badlands stealing bones from each other, I think of cartoon criminals on their tiptoes with a sack across their shoulder.
Not even just in the Badlands, just literally every time they are mentioned in the same paragraph, it is something to, like, the amount of times at the beginning of the book Cope ran into problems because of Marsh, and every single time it was something insane to the point where I'm like, this cannot be actually what is happening. Like, I genuinely thought it was going to be some big twist where it was some kind of like, but in Wild West America or something, because of like the stuff that was happening. And it's just like, no, it's literally just insane.
Yeah, they just both care about their field so much.
I don't even think they care about their fields. The one cares about just making as many discoveries as possible, and the other cares about being known for making as many discoveries as possible. Also, the part at the end, I don't know if you remember it, but the Copacier part.
Yeah.
The Copacier.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, they're so petty.
I was like, that is something you would see in 2024, not whenever that was written.
Yeah.
When was that? Like 1870s?
1876, something like that.
No, isn't that when the founding fathers found America?
That is 1776.
Oh, I'm not American.
You should be deported. But yeah, so
Yeah.
is that it for the review?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, this book was shockingly difficult to talk about because Death on the Nile, it was just kind of like, I guessed who did it. And then Jurassic Park, most everyone has seen it. So the couple of more spoilery things we talked about really still isn't a spoiler at that point. This one is the only one where I feel like this is an unknown book. Like,
yeah, and there's like a couple of twists that like,
not a couple, like every other chapter.
yeah, that just, I don't know, they're not super cliche. They're just very interesting, and you wouldn't want those spoiled because that's the point of the book.
Yeah, this is definitely a book where I recommend just listen to it. Don't DNF it. It's 8 hours. You can very easily focus with it on like 1.5 to 1.9 times speed and just like take a day, build a puzzle type of thing. Because even me, I was like, I'm gonna DNF this when I was within the first like 15%, because that's my one gripe with it. The start is so slow.
Okay, so I said it because I wanted to encourage you to keep reading. I didn't think the start was slow. I was like, from page 1, like I was in.
Well, the thing is, like, the first 2 chapters was pretty interesting because of the whole like starting with the bet and everything. And then it just kind of turns into him learning about photography and going on a train. And I don't know, I was just bored during that. But as soon as the first stuff with Marsh happened, and I think right after they left Chicago, like that's when, for me, my interest like peaked.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Nowhere.
Okay. But,
Put your hands there. Well, I don't recommend audio. I recommend the book, because who doesn't like a little mass market paperback? They're the perfect size for a book, and they're great. So don't use audio. Read it.
Are you employed with Harper Fiction?
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's fun. I definitely do recommend the audiobook. It's fun. I'm not saying don't read the physical. I just think the audio is really fun. Like, I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Also, you say you struggle with, like, Wild West books and pirate books because of how they speak. I genuinely think if you tried an audio, it might be better. Because at least that way it sounds more authentic, you know? Like, reading R. Macy is really weird and uncomfortable, but hearing an actual pirate say R. Macy isn't.
Fair.
So, that's the one thing with that book that I took away for you specifically. I think if there's any books that you like that you know you'd struggle with because it's cowboys or pirates, you should try the audiobook.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Nope.
You really shouldn't have stood because now they're just seeing up my nostrils. Well, it's too late. The video's done. Ow! My foot.